Seconds here.
Perfect. All right. And the audio is good?
Yeah, audio's great. Let's see. Okay, it says we're live. So, hey, everybody. Welcome to our Facebook Live. I'm with Mark Cukro, and we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming Takedown Confidence Summit. And then he's got a special treat for us. He's going to demonstrate a technique for us, a takedown technique. And that's just a bit of a taste of what you would get in the all access pass with the Takedown Confidence Summit. So the Takedown Confidence Summit itself is interviews with 30 different experts in BJJ, judo, sambo, wrestling, where we talk about bridging the gap in the takedown in our grappling game by adding takedowns, right? Making sure that we're including takedowns and becoming a more balanced and complete grappler in that sense. So, hi, Mark. Welcome to the Facebook.
Thanks for having me, Larry. I appreciate it. And I'm with Bailey Draper. She's an instructor and a competitor here at the Academy.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us too. That's fantastic that you came in, that you came to be an uke for Mark. That you guys can show us something really cool. I'm betting. So, now for the viewers out here, tell us a little bit about why you felt this was a worthy project to get involved with in the first place, please.
Sure. Okay. So, as you know, but some may not, I've been training for a very long time, almost 30 years. And it's interesting to watch the trends of jiu-jitsu and martial arts in general. But one of the things I've noticed over the past few years, especially the past 10, is that takedowns and throws have started to exit the game in favor of people sitting down or just pulling guard or half guard, which is okay. I mean, if those are the rules that you agree upon, then you should follow those rules. But to me, there's something extra special about being able to do takedowns and throws, because you may not always have the opportunity to just, sit down or jump a pull guard. And also off the mats in real life, I think it's great to be able to throw someone with a level of authority and conviction, and then you don't have to go to the ground. And jiu-jitsu specifically is supposed to be a very well-rounded art, and it is. And it's not always taught that way. In some places it is, but jiu-jitsu and judo used to be synonymous, and now they're just very good cousins that get along and can contribute to each other. So if there's one thing I like to see, it makes my day when one of our competitors gets a takedown or a throw. And I think everyone should at least be very good at a few of those, a handful at least.
Yeah, and I think that's a confusion sometimes. I think people think that when you're going to learn takedowns, you have to learn every takedown in the book. It's like, no, you don't need to do that. You just need to get efficient at a small handful of throws or takedowns, right? And so that you can do them when you need to. You just need some go-to techniques. Just like our ground game, you don't have to be perfect at every little piece of our ground game. Everybody kind of develops their own style in a sense. You have people that are armbar people, you have people that are triangle choke people, you have and it's good to kind of to know those other areas, at least to defend against them, right? But you don't have to be, that doesn't have to be your specific area of expertise. So if you just have a couple of takedowns that are your go-to moves, at least you're not defenseless in that area, right? So yeah, definitely. And I think, like you said, in a self-defense situation, the throw can be a fight ender. I mean, that could be it. So not always, but it could be, right?
It could be very much. The asphalt hurts when you don't know how to land correctly. It hurts
That's
when
right.
you do.
Yeah. Well, if you don't know how to land correctly and you do it on the mats, it can hurt. So, and in the dojo, that's another thing is we at least the way I teach, we take care of our partners. When I throw my partners in here in practice, I'm not trying to hurt them. I want to get repetitions in. So I don't want them to be injured. I want them to be able to get up and allow me to do it again and again and again. That's that Tori and Uki relationship, So, but in a self-defense situation, maybe I don't want them to get back up. And the way I always explain is if you can throw somebody with a level of control to where, you can throw them gently or you can throw them hard, then that means you can make that choice in a self-defense situation. If I want to throw somebody hard, and use that as my exit strategy in that self-defense situation, then I have that capability of doing that. So really important, I think, for self-defense.
I think so. And your level of skill can often dictate your level of compassion under duress, right? Like, do you really want to slam the person 100%, or do you want to throw them down or take them down or throw them and make them apologize and they realize they made a mistake? And you know, so yeah, the higher your skill, the more finesse you can have.
That's a really good point, and that's one of the things I do talk to my students about that from time to time, actually pretty frequently. That it's more intimidating, I think, sometimes even on the mats when somebody puts you down gently, right? And you realize, okay, what's happening next, right? If they have that level of control of me to put me down so gently and kind, right? Now what's going to happen next? They're going to tie me in a knot once we get on the ground. So that's, that's another thing. There's a little bit of a psychological thing that happens there too. If you have that level of control to where, look, I could have hurt you, but I didn't, right? So awesome. So real quick for the audience, before you demonstrate something for us, I want to touch real briefly again on the summit and how to get registered for it. So the summit is next week. It's the 18th, 19th, and 20th. We have 30 people that I interviewed for the summit from different walks of life. We've got BJJ, judo, sambo wrestlers, high level, at these things too. So and each person kind of giving their take on what's the hesitation for learning takedowns, and then what we can do to overcome that, as both students and instructors. How can we help our students, so we touch on a lot of that stuff. And then also in the comments here on our Facebook Live right now, I posted the link on how to go there and register. Registration is free. Just go there and you can watch those for 3 days. Each day there'll be 10 speakers posted. So on the 18th, there's 10 speakers, 19th, 10 more, and then 10 more on the 20th. Each day those drop off though. So if you want lifetime access to those, we do have something called an all access pass. That all access pass includes lifetime access to all of the interviews. It also includes an MP3 audio version of all the interviews. So if you want to listen to it like a podcast, or while you're working out or something like that, it's great information. I mean, I've already listened to it a couple of times, and I just enjoy every time I listen to these things. And then you also get a transcription of each of the interviews, which is if you want to read through it and take notes and make notes of what the speakers have spoken about. And then the best part is, of course, you get takedown techniques from all 30 instructors if you get the all access pass. So that's 30 techniques, and the all access pass right now is $47. That's a steal, right? I think that's an amazing deal, plus all the other things that come with it. So so if you go there and you register right now, you can watch it for free. If you want the all access pass, it's $47. Pretty good deal for the amount of knowledge and stuff that's coming together there. I mean, how often do you get 30 instructors to come together for one thing? It's like having a seminar with 30 different instructors. Pretty amazing thing. So you guys are going to demonstrate something for us.
Sure, absolutely. So
that's awesome.
So we'll start. Tell me, we're in frame. We're good.
Yep, you're still in the frame. Yep, you're doing great.
Okay, so we can start with this here. Okay, so this is just when you do get a grip. So we can start here. Nice. That's it. Now I have hands up and mine are tight, and I grab the lapel and I grab the sleeve. Okay, and you can do this any way you like, but what I want to do is drop this foot back and get her to lean forward so I can put a straight arm down and pull and put my head right in the neck. So if my foot's forward, there's a higher probability she can pick this up. So I don't want that. Yep. And of course there's counters to everything. So I'm going to drop, step back like this. And the minute she pushes and turns, I go this way. And now I have a straight arm and a straight arm. So turn into me, please. It's not going to happen. When she does, turn the circle. Her weight is going to shift. Right now, the weight's on the far foot. So this leg is light. So here, now let's sit down with that. Okay, so I'll get a little closer so we don't land in the wall. Here, I start to push, she turns, I go here, and then down we go. Okay, so nice and gently. Here, grab, I drop, and I put my weight back. So all the weight is on the balls of her feet. She turns in, here. You can pick this way, underhook, block the foot, sit down and pull the lapel. and then you can change your position. So this is dependent on the person pushing back, and it can be be a high velocity throw, if you like it, or a takedown. But what you really want, and what this is based on, is the person resisting, like most of the throws, right? They give you the energy.
Yep. That's
so
awesome.
That's one option.
I like that a lot. That's a nice little version of Tani Otoshi is what, we refer to that as Tani Otoshi. So nice, which means valley drop. For those of you who don't know, valley drop. And you know what? And some of the Japanese names for things are pretty literal when you translate them. And then Tani Otoshi, the valley drop, I remember for years I wondered, what is valley drop? Because I understand a major outer reap, I understand all that stuff. What's a valley drop? And then one day driving in the car, I had one of these little, dips in the road, and it gives you the tummy tickler, I call it, right? And I realized, oh, when you get thrown the Tani Otoshi, you kind of get that feeling sometimes, right? So maybe that's where they came up with the term, valley drop, because it feels like the valley dropped out from underneath you. So great technique. I love that variation of it. That's nice.
So the thing for a lot of this too is the terminology for those of you watching. It really does help because you have an extra language to discuss. It helps in tournaments when you yell Tani Otoshi, or the sit down throw, as a lot of people call it in jiu-jitsu, or the sit behind throw. But all of that is dependent. But the more you can learn the terminology, in my personal opinion, the better and more of a language advantage it gives you, because you can speak and understand deeper. So I recommend that you learn them, but don't learn them to the point where it's an impedance to your progress.
Right.
So don't split much. Like that's a Tani Otoshi. The setup and entry is different than maybe everyone else would do, but at the essence of the throw, it's the same, right? So I definitely recommend terminology.
Yeah, and that's something we do here. We, because we're judo based first, and then jiu-jitsu. It's all blended together here for us, nowadays. But we use a lot of the Japanese terminology. We use words like sensei rather than professor, depending on where we're at, right? And so things like that. But I get students that get nervous about that sometimes when it becomes rank exam time. I don't know the terminology. And I say, you don't really need to know the terminology yet. When you're testing for your judo black belt, we'll worry about your terminology, your judo terminology, but for now it's kind of like, we're going to test you on your skills and your overall knowledge of the art, and those types of things. Not necessarily, we're not going to do a pop quiz on the terms, right? So and as well as I do, that the more you hear it and the more you repeat it and the more you just kind of use it, the more it becomes more natural for you to do it. Now kids learn it like this. That's the difference. The kids learn those terms way faster than the adults do.
Yeah, they come up in the language, so there's less life to interfere with their learning. So they just absorb. Absolutely. Yeah. They learn it faster than all the adults.
They really do. We have siblings that sit on the sidelines that learn how to count to 10 in Japanese before they learn to count to 10 in English, because they hear us do it so often while we're doing our warm-ups. So it's kind of funny. That was awesome technique. Was there anything else you wanted to share with us, or is that the specific one?
Well, that was the specific one, unless there's a question. But what I would like to say is, especially to everyone that doesn't do judo, but they do a grappling art, is for less than a private lesson, you can watch all of this. 30 people teaching. And all you have to do is pick one little gem, and it changes your entire game. And I think a big reason people don't do throws is because they're afraid of landing, hitting the ground. So it's important that you teach the break falling first, so you know how to land, longevity in the art. But the other part is, we say this to people all the time, especially from the jiu-jitsu perspective. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to be a master on the mats. And part of being a master on the mats is learning takedowns and throws. And you have your A game, which is your, 2 to 10, I guess, if you want to put that many up there, 5 or 6 throws. And then you develop your B and C game. So this way, what you pass on, your students may have a different A game than you have yourself. And so learn all of them is my recommendation. You'll never regret learning how to throw someone. So I think you should definitely add it to your game.
Yeah. And another term that kind of gets tossed around a little bit that I think, I don't know how to put it, but I think that people say it, but they don't really practice it sometimes, is the, white belt mentality. Like, I always want to be a student. I always want to be learning. Right. But then when it comes to takedowns, sometimes they're like, well, I'm not going to work on that though, right? And one of our, more than one of our interviewees, right, that I spoke to, brought that point up, and the way they put it was interesting. He said, you know, some people are a black belt in their jiu-jitsu, their ground game, and then when they stand up, they kind of have to go back to being a white belt for a little bit, and it's kind of embarrassing, you know, because you're really strongly skilled in one area, and then you go to the other area and you're back to being, you know, a lower level as far as skill set goes. And it can be a little bit intimidating, right? You got to swallow your pride a little bit and get up and do it. But yeah, I think if you approach it with the mentality of, I always want to be learning new things, right? Then that fits into that category. I want to get better at takedowns because that's a deficit in my game. So.
Well, what a better way to lead by example? I have a high level of proficiency in one area, a high level of deficiency in another. At least I'm going to step into the front and show you that I'm learning too. I think it's a powerful message to send your students.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, and it is hard to do that in some cases, especially if you have a reputation for, you know, like being very knowledgeable in one area, and then, okay, well, now I'm going to have to admit that I'm not so great at this other side of things. So, but none of us are perfect. We all have plenty to learn, you know, and I think that this summit is a great way for people. And I've said this before, this is for students and coaches. I mean, coaches can learn so much by watching these interviews and the techniques too. For me, I like to watch videos a lot of times because, sometimes it gives me a better vocabulary, right, for describing techniques to my students. I might have, you know, 30 students in here, and 29 of them get it, you know, right away, and I have one who just like, maybe there's some barrier there where I'm not clicking and you know, with him, and he's not getting what I'm saying. If I can increase my vocabulary, then maybe I can find a way to reach that student and clarify it for them too, you know. So the more I can absorb from other fellow instructors as far as that goes, how they explain things, how they demonstrate things, you know, the metaphors and anecdotes and all the things that go along with it, you know, really helps me become a better instructor too. And so I'm always looking for that, and I highly recommend it for this for coaches. I mean, I've picked up so many nuggets of information through the interviews and through reviewing the interviews when I did the editing, right? So I got to listen to the interviews multiple times, and I'm just super impressed with everything that, you know, everybody said. Really an awesome event.
Yeah, you've got some great people, and I appreciate it, you know, being welcome on it. Thank you for coming too. And just to share some of the way we look at things or explain them. And so we appreciate being part of this.
Well, I appreciate you being part of it. I mean, I really enjoyed my interview with you, and then the techniques that you're showing are fantastic too. I think everybody's going to really benefit from this interaction. Now, you've been traveling recently and doing some conferences, haven't you?
I have. So we'll let the train go by. You can hear it.
I have a train down here too.
It only happens when we're doing interviews. But I do. I travel and I speak at a lot of business conferences on like organizational culture and curriculum development. And I always do jiu-jitsu with it when I travel too. So I'm almost always somewhere 2 or 3 times a month teaching a seminar, visiting another academy, sharing jiu-jitsu or absorbing what they teach. And so it's great to visit and travel. And like you said, every time I hear someone explain something different, I'm like, huh, that makes sense in a different way. Yep. And then I take it back to my own students. But yeah, I travel a lot. I love what I do. I'm so blessed to be able to do it.
You know, and I'll have to say that's one of the things that made this the interviewing process fairly easy for me. I had a few people ask me about it. You know, was it tough doing this stuff? I said, no, we all like to talk about what we do. We're all passionate about what we do, and so we like to talk about it. So it's actually harder for us to keep it to a certain length of conversation. Sometimes my wife has to kick me out of the dojo at night here sometimes because I, you know, want to stay and talk to all the students about things too. So and so that's just part of the culture that we're part of. So I think we're very lucky, very blessed to be part of that culture. So, and I want to thank you again, sir, for being part of the summit. And I want to thank you for getting on Facebook Live with me. I know that you probably have some classes coming up pretty soon, don't you? So
in a couple hours, we start again. We just finished. We had an hour break, and then we'll start again.
Okay, well then I'm going to let you go and get ready for those things. And thank you again, and thanks for the technique. That was an awesome thing to do for us, for our audience, to give them a little taste of what's to come in the all access pass if they decide that they want to do that. which I think is a great deal. It's a bargain. Everybody should be doing it, right? So have a great day, both of you. And I really enjoyed seeing you again. And I look forward to visiting you someday there where you're at.
Absolutely. Thanks and take care. Thanks for being here. All right.
All right. Thank you, guys. Until next time. See you later.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.